Hi, this is Ned Siegfried from Siegfried and Jensen. As proud sponsors of BeliefCast, we hope you are inspired by Todd's weekly podcasts, which contain so many courageous stories of recovery and personal growth. Remember, it's not what happened in the past that matters, it's what happens in the future. We invite you all to work hard and be optimistic about your future. Enjoy today's podcast.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this another amazing podcast today. I'm so excited to have Siegfried and Jensen, and specifically Ned, being a part of our sponsorship. And Ned, thank you so much for believing in me enough to do this.
It's great to be here, Todd. We've known each other for several years, and I've just felt an immediate kinship with you, and love what you do, and the people whose lives you've touched, many of whom are in my family. And
thank you.
So it's just a real opportunity and blessing to be involved with you with BeliefCast.
Oh, that means a lot, Ned, seriously. And I love your family, and I'm grateful to be part of their journey on some level. But again, more importantly, I'm just grateful that you're a part of this. You have a great reputation here in Utah, and probably even outside of Utah, but everyone seems to know you, and for me to be able to sit here with you just means so much to me. I think it would be great to I know everyone knows you as Siegfried and Jensen, right, and what you do there, but before all that, just give us a little background. Where did you grow up, and maybe a little bit about your family?
Well, I grew up in Brigham City, born in Brigham City, lived there through about age 12, went to elementary school up there, and then my family moved down to Bountiful, and I went to junior high and high school out in Bountiful. And
Bountiful Brave? Is that
I was a Viewmont Viking.
Oh, Viewmont Viking.
In fact,
sorry.
I went to Woods Cross the very first year it was open. It was just 9th and 10th grade, so I went to 10th grade at Woods Cross, very first year it was open, and then went over to Viewmont for my senior year.
Okay, gotcha.
So that was my schooling through secondary level, so to speak.
Yeah, right on. So what were maybe some of the things that stand out most to you about your childhood that maybe made a really good impact on you, that helped you move forward even today? Even
I guess living in Brigham, most people that are listening probably know where Brigham City is. It's not a real big community. It's not a teeny tiny community either, but both sets of grandparents lived in Brigham. Every aunt and uncle, all my cousins lived in Brigham.
Okay.
And so I guess some of my fondest memories are just a lot of family gatherings. I used to go with my, particularly my mom's dad, my grandpa, fishing and hunting a lot, and just doing a lot of things like that
right
up there. And so I guess in terms of shaping who I am, maybe it would probably come from a lot of close family, a lot of things I just picked up. Good old fashioned work ethic and values, and treating people well, and that was probably instilled in me from a young age.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you definitely are a hard worker. You couldn't get where you're at today without it. But I know you almost look at that as, hey, this is just what I do, but you're passionate about a lot of things, in your life. One particular we were talking about earlier, and I think we should just go right there. I think it'd be really cool for our listeners to understand how passionate you are about going to the prison and helping and speaking to these prisoners and sharing your story with them. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. And just so the listeners are clear, I have not been sent to prison, though a lot of people think that all lawyers should probably go to prison. But about 19 years ago, Todd, I had the opportunity to start teaching classes weekly out at the Utah State Prison, and started teaching a class at the women's section on Wednesday morning for a couple hours. It's a religious class.
Right.
And about a year later, I started teaching on Friday mornings for a couple hours with one of the men's facilities. And so for the last 18 years, I've taught women on Wednesdays for a couple hours, men on Fridays for a couple hours, And it's become, and it from day one, I just loved it. Because the inmates, they're not forced to come. They come because they've kind of hit bottom, so to speak.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think anybody, as they're growing up, when they're asked as third graders, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
I don't think any of them put an inmate
Right.
or a felon. And so a lot of these people, certainly the ones that come voluntarily to the classes that I have a privilege to teach, they're ready to make some serious life changes. They've realized they've made some wrong turns in their life, and so they're humble, teachable, and it's almost like they're dry sponges.
Right.
And I have the opportunity to be, I guess, the person that helps put a little water in their sponge. And so in the 18, 19 years I've been doing this, it's been one of the very most gratifying things in my life, seeing people just change, you know, and having the chance to see them continue that change after they've left prison and become very productive people in society, raise good families, and do a lot of good things. So I'm a wholeheartedly believe that anybody can, with help, you know, from fellow people they interact with, but also from the proverbial higher power, because I believe true change has to come internally, and that true change really comes about as a spiritual process.
Oh, I love that. You know, one of the things I think listeners might be thinking, I mean, is it a scary experience going out there? Obviously, I know you're not scared to go out there because you love it so much, but people might think, well, I mean, are you worried that something's going to happen, or do these inmates treat you with respect? I mean, have you ever had a moment where it was a little scary moments or anything like that? I think there maybe you might be wondering that. So how has that been?
No, never one at all. In fact, I think most of the inmates, I don't mean this to be, you know, self-aggrandizing, but most of the men and women out there that I've interacted with or have come to my classes over any period of time, I consider them dear friends, and I think they would literally, you know, take a bullet for me. I mean, they are just so respectful, almost to a fault, and so grateful that I'm getting a little bit of a, you know, emotional. It just warms my heart, and I can't get out there enough. In fact, as I told you before we started taping just a few minutes ago, the worst thing about COVID, as far as I'm concerned personally, it's not the impact it's had on my business. It's not the fact that some of my family members have actually had COVID.
Right.
For me personally, it's that I have not been able to go out to the prison and meet with my friends, the inmates out there, for a year. You know, when the restrictions came down last March, which is a little over a year ago, I have not been able to go out there and teach, and so I just feel like my arm has been cut off, or you know, such a meaningful part of my life is, you know, I've been forced into sabbatical, so to speak. So hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months, they'll let the volunteers start going back out there, and I can resume all the fun.
Right. Wow. No, I know how passionate you're about that. When I first met you, we had a similar kind of a situation where, because I had spoken at the prison, I've been there once, right? And it was just the same thing you just said. I felt so much gratitude from them, and I never felt safer, and it was unbelievable. I walked out there going, man, did I really just experience that? So I know why you love it so much. And what are some of the things that you do try to teach out there what are some of the principles maybe that you really try to have these inmates walk away with when you meet with them twice a week?
Well, as I alluded to, that I try to tell people that no matter what landed them in prison, and incidentally, I do not ever ask, nor do I even want to know why a man or woman has ended up in prison, because I don't want to prejudge that person or think, oh, you did this or that or the other. I just look at them as a fellow brother or sister that has fallen on hard times, made some wrong decisions, and wants to turn their life around. So the first thing I try to instill, and every week we talk about it, is to have hope and to not let the past define you. Yes, you've made mistakes. Yes, I've made mistakes. I just haven't been caught yet, I guess, or at least to the extent that they're going to keep me out there.
Yeah, right.
I'm teasing a
I
little
know
bit.
what you mean.
But we've all made mistakes, and I don't think any of us are so good or near perfect that we, should ever look down on another person.
Yeah. And
I certainly don't. I consider it, as I said, one of the great privileges of my life to interact with these people and have the opportunity to try to lift them up to higher ground and help broaden their perspective and help them start developing some self-worth and so many of them actually do, when they're armed with this new spiritual perspective of life, that carries them forward, because transitioning from prison back into everyday life outside of prison walls can be tough. And so they really need, both men and women need a strong foundation or a spiritual anchor, a deeper relationship with their higher power, if you will, to carry them through the challenges, because there's more challenges once they leave prison in many respects than inside, because, as you well know, it's pretty regimented in there, and you can't draw outside the lines too much when you're incarcerated.
Right.
But once you get out those prison walls, they really need the buttressing of a good strong foundation. So
for sure. Love that.
So the message of hope and perspective, I think really helps everybody, particularly people I work with out there.
For sure. Very well said, Ned. Thank you. It's amazing. You've been doing this for over 18 years. I mean, that's a long time to be doing that. What drew you to it, though? Like, what did you get volunteered to do it one day and didn't, or did you always have like, I want to get out there and help, or how did that come about?
Well, I guess people probably know by now, but I'm LDS, and I went on a mission to Japan, and I've always loved the gospel, and I've loved sharing what I believe with other people, because I feel like it's really blessed my life and helped define who I am, and I feel that's the greatest gift I can give to anybody is what I have experienced. Yeah. So I've always loved sharing the message, whether as a missionary in Japan or afterwards for the next 20 years or so. I continue to be active doing quote unquote missionary type things, and I heard of an opportunity in one church meeting. The person who was conducting the meeting said, "We've been asked to make you brethren aware of this, but if any of you are able to, we're looking for volunteers, or they're looking for volunteers to come in and teach religion classes out at the Utah State Prison." And then the person that was conducting said, "Well, but they would be during the day, so most of you probably will have conflicts with work." And I thought, well, I think my boss will let me go out. And I'd heard from a few other friends who had similar opportunities out of the prison say what a wonderful experience it was. So as soon as I heard that there was an opportunity, I immediately followed up on it and somehow passed all the screening and security tests, so to speak.
background checks and all
yeah,
that stuff,
all that
right?
stuff, yeah. And within a couple of weeks, they said, okay, you're good to go. And so ever since then, I've just been going. And,
yeah, I love it.
the beauty about this, the reason it's lasted 18, 19 years is it's not a quote-unquote church calling. And so it's a volunteer position. And so there's no release
There's no end
date. Yeah. And so when people say that's a long time, and I say, I hope I'm just getting started.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So as long as I can, talk and get myself out there, I want to keep going. I'm still as passionate about going out there as I ever have been, and particularly now since it's been a year, and I just feel this forced sabbatical by COVID is just about ready to tear my hair out.
Hopefully it's coming to an end soon, right?
Yeah. I think we're on the uptick with those things. So
I think so too.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's neat that you do that and give back. And you do have this reputation, Ned, as a guy that gives back, and you do a lot with your with your I don't know, you call it a company.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I want to also know, when did you know you wanted to be a lawyer? Did you always want to be one when you were a kid, or did it come later in life when you made the decision, like, you know what, I'm going to try this? Or
I know the exact moment, and I don't want to make this about a LDS type of thing, but I was on my mission in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Japan, I thought, well, I want to be a dentist because I grew up, very involved with golf, and golf's been a big part of my life. But I thought at that point in time, 19 going on a mission, I thought, if I become a dentist, then I can schedule my patients whenever I want to, and I'll have plenty of time to golf or to play in this tournament or whatnot. So I thought, yeah, I'll be a dentist. And then I got out on my mission, and a kid in my neighborhood was a year older than me. He was a good friend. My parents, would write me every week, and I was laying on my futon, which is they sleep on the floor in Japan.
Yeah.
It was on the P day, preparation day. I was reading my folks, my mom's letter, and she said, we just got back from Mike Nilsson's homecoming, and he said he's going to finish up his undergrad up at the U and then go to law school. And as soon as I read law school, it was almost like, da-da,
right.
You hear this background music, and the law school started blinking on the letter or something.
Yeah.
It was like almost like instantaneously I thought, law school. Yeah, I think I'll do that too.
Really?
And I never turned back. I never changed my mind. And this is just about halfway through my mission. So it's like, okay, that's decided. Never thought about it too much again for the next year on my mission, and came home and lickety split got through my undergrad in like 6 quarters up at the U.
Wow.
Japanese language test was worth 25 hours.
Oh, good.
So I had a lot of,
I
was able to shortcut a lot of things, and got through the U, and then undergrad, went to law school, and the rest is history professionally, as they say.
Ever since, right?
Yeah, 38 years.
38 years, wow.
Yeah, since 83, and it's hard to believe that
congratulations.
the time does go fast,
It really does.
It really does.
Congratulations on that says a lot, honestly. To be able to stick with something, like you said, that aha moment, and you haven't looked back. That's pretty rare, actually.
Yeah, I remember up at the U, one of the counselors or someone said the average boy or girl student in undergrad changes their major 2.4 times, and they graduate with like 235 hours. Well, you needed 183 hours at the time, and so I got 183 hours, not one more. So it's kind of a straight line. The one thing I've kind of always done is I've tried to figure out where I was going to go, and economy of motion. Just do it. Get it
Right.
done. Don't dilly-dally. Don't just sit in idle. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And I did that in undergrad, certainly textbook, and then went to law school, and that's just the way I've kind of wired up. You know,
Right,
I don't
yeah.
like wasting time. I don't like I like
Yeah.
having a good time. I like laughing, and people know me.
Yeah.
I know we laugh a lot together, but I think life is about working hard and
Yeah.
and enjoying life and enjoying the people around you. But
Yeah.
I've always found that good, honest, hard work is very, very, very satisfying as well, and it gives you then an opportunity, like in my case, to help others. To
Yeah.
go down and be involved a couple times a week at the prison and other things. So
Yeah. Well, you're even helping me because of that hard work. So thank you. Were you always that way? Even as a kid, were you a hard worker? Like even back when you were younger? Do you recall?
I
or-
think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
I had a morning paper out from 4th to 6th grade, so that's
Okay.
ages 10 to 12.
So yeah, paper out, and that's getting up early and
And
throwing
I'd
the
have to
paper.
wrap the papers and leave
Uh-huh.
them in a big stack outside of our garage.
right.
I'd open the garage at 5:30, whatever, and I'd bundle the papers and put them in bags that would be over my handlebars. You'd put them in the
Yeah.
bags, and I would
Handlebars in the bags,
yeah, and I'd hope Sundays was tough because they were a lot bigger papers, and sometimes I'd start turning, and the weight of the papers would make me want to turn more, and I'd about turf it. I probably did a few times, but
I'm sure you did.
but
yeah.
I'd do that by myself.
Yeah.
But when it snowed in the winter and it was too tough to ride
Yeah.
a bike through 6 or 8 inches of snow, I'd go in and tap my dad. It's kind of he's passed away, but I'd tap him on his leg and say, "I need you to help me this morning."
Yeah.
So he'd get up, and we had an old Volkswagen Bug at the time. They're always great in snow, so he'd drive me around, and I'd throw the papers out the window.
Right.
The
That's
one
awesome.
time he got stuck in a dip, and slowed down enough and we couldn't get out. He started spinning, so he said, "Okay, you get in the driver's side. I'll get behind on the back of the Volkswagen, so kind of rock it and push." And he says, "You push this pedal here, and when I tell you to push it, you push it,
Right.
and I'll try to get it going." And he got us rocking and pushing enough that we started going. And I drove about a block down the road because he never told me how to stop the thing. He kept chasing me, and he finally got me to
He
stop
said,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, a lot of fun memories like that. And I used to
Yeah,
mow a
wow.
lot of people's lawns and shovel their walks.
Well,
and
yeah, that's pretty young to do
all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was still in the Brigham years when I was,
Yeah.
4th, 5th, 6th grade, and
For sure.
continued to do that when I moved down to Banff. When I started working at Smith's Food King when I was just short of 16, because we got to know the Smith family who started Smith Food King up in Brigham.
Oh.
We knew them really well.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so
Yeah.
me, my brother, and sister, that's the jobs we had, from 16 moving forward. And it's the only job I ever had before I became a lawyer, is working in the grocery store. I loved it. Just
Yeah.
loved it.
Wow. I used to work at Skaggs Alpha Beta. Do you remember Skaggs Alpha Beta?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was back when I was younger too. And I really did. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And so I know what you're saying there.
Yeah. In fact, during law school, when other fellow students would go out and clerk between their first and second year, or their second, third year, I went back to Smith's and worked with the people that I loved working with at Smith's. And, people probably thought, well, you're compromising your legal career by not going out and having a summer clerkship for 3 months. But I thought, I'll be okay once I get out of law school.
Right,
Assuming I passed the bar,
Yeah.
I felt pretty confident that I would be able to, be successful. I didn't know how or what I would do for sure at that
Sure.
point, but I thought I would be able to do well. And so I just went back to Smith's and had fun working
great.
summers back in the good old
Yeah.
grocery store.
That's awesome.
And in fact, that's where I met my wife too. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Hey, yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's where you met her, huh? Was she just coming into the store, or was she working there too?
She and two of her sisters worked in the store. Her older sister is 2 years older than her younger sister, that's a year younger. And my first job coming back to the grocery store, I grew up in Bountiful. I worked in the Bountiful store, but when I came home, they didn't have a position for me. So they said, "Why don't you go out to this Richie's store?" Richie is the youngest of D. Glenn Smith's three sons.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a Smith's Food King. It was part of the Smith family, but it's like a lower priced kind of discount version, so to speak. So it was a Richie's store out on 35th South and 40th West in West Valley. And so I said, okay, I'll go out there and for a little while. And I just immediately started, hit it off with the people out there. But the first job I did out there was working the night crew, throwing freight, stocking shelves.
Okay.
And I went out there, we'd work like 10 to 6 in the morning or 10 to 7.
Yeah.
And I was checking out some people at just a little after 10. And my wife had just finished working as a checker at the 10 o'clock shift. And she was, I hate to say this, but I was just barely had turned 21, just got off my mission 2 or 3 weeks earlier. She's not even 16, but she was just the cutest little bug. And she came through, and I'm checking. She's getting a Diet Coke and something. I don't know what it was, just something to drink after her shift. While she waited for her mom to come pick her up because she couldn't drive yet. And she goes, "Oh, you're Ned the Night Stalker." And it was just, she didn't know what she was saying. Is like, I'm, Ned Bundy or something like the Night Stalker, Ned the Night Stalker. I just thought that was just so innocently funny.
For sure, yeah.
And so anyway, but we ended up marrying about 8 years later or so. And
wow, that's great.
I taught her how to drive a car and everything because she was just getting ready to get her learner's permit.
Right, okay.
Sounds like there's only 5 years difference, but that's a big difference when you're 21 to almost 16.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's 64 to 59, so the age gap is shortened considerably.
For sure, yeah.
Anyway, I'm rambling, Todd.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, you're not rambling. No, this is great.
Yeah.
This is good. See, I think people want to hear this. It's like they know about you, with your.
So I'm something beyond just the pretty face on their TV set, right?
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
I really am. I do. That's my day job. That puts and we do a great job, I think, at what we do, or what I do professionally. But
for sure,
and that's important for sure. But I think helping people the way we're talking about is even more important. That what I've done professionally gives me a chance to help people in various ways, and that that's part of the platform that. For sure, so to speak.
Well, that's why we've teamed up. That's why we've teamed up because we both want to help people. And I got to be honest, it was just so great to talk to you about this and how willing you guys have been, especially you. And I know your desire to just help people. Again, it goes back to, going out to the prison all the time. I mean, you just love making a difference, and I want to rub shoulders with people like that, and that's why we're sitting here together, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels so much better to help somebody than to just have all your efforts directed at your own hedonistic behavior or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels good to, help people. I guess I don't know how more succinctly to
for sure
or to have a genuine connection with someone, or to even just say hi to someone or shake their hand or just spend a couple minutes chatting. I
love it.
I just think that's a good way to be. And society has become so I don't know, polarized or divisive, or I like driving, this sounds corny, maybe it comes from small town value or something. When I drive through the neighborhood or even coming home from the gym this morning, I just wave to people,
Yeah.
It's like, it's like just saying hi, I think I hate it when you walk down to, a hall or a sidewalk and people just look away or look at their feet. Why can't we say hi to each other?
Sure,
Why can't we
yeah.
not even? It's like we can't even acknowledge that there's another human being in our presence, or that,
Right.
that we're passing on the road or the sidewalk or in a hallway. That type of offishness just really kind of bothers me.
For sure.
And
yeah.
I know a lot of people are shy, and I'm kind of shy in a lot of ways too.
Right.
But I've just found in my life, Todd, when we extend ourselves and are friendly to one another and see one another as equals, no matter who we are, no matter what nationality or religion we are, just see each other as equals, and where we can help one another, we do. And who knows, maybe next week I'll need help from someone in some other way. So,
right, for sure.
I don't know. I just think that's a good way to live one's life.
No, I love it. Very well said, Ned. There's something that you said to me, and you won't remember this, but it's something I actually share with my clients to this day. and it's when I first met you, and we were talking about, you and I were talking about, because I get up really early in the morning, and I know you do too. And you said something, you're like, Todd, it's just all about mind over mattress.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember telling me that, but I thought, yeah, that's what it is. It's like, and this might sound corny too, but there's times where I'll pop out of bed, but I want to go back because I'm tired, but I'll turn back and look at the mattress and I'll say, I'm stronger than you.
Yeah.
And it's because of what you said. And I'll even share it with my clients. Hey, it's all mind over mattress. And they go, yeah, I've never thought of it that way. Do you remember that little conversation we had?
I use that phrase a lot, particularly on my wife, and she gets mad when I say it.
Sorry, we apologize.
Sorry,
yeah.
Shante. But I first became familiar with that phrase in a book written by, as far as I know, it's the first book that Stephen R. Covey ever wrote back in the 70s. It's a classic. It's called Spiritual Roots to Human Relations. And I read it on my mission. I think it came out in 1976 or 77. But that was one of the real takeaways I can still remember from that book is mind over mattress. It's exactly like you said. Whatever you decide you're going to do, for the most part, most people can do it.
Yeah.
We either talk ourselves into doing something, or we so often can very easily talk ourselves out of doing something. And Steve Covey explained it by using that example. It's like how many of us are so tempted to just either keep hitting the snooze button or just turn the alarm off completely and go back to sleep for a couple hours. But, the old, and I love cliches because I think the basis of almost every cliche is truth.
Yeah.
The early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
Well, if you hit the snooze button or hit the off button and go back to sleep, you're not an early bird. And the worms are going to, for the most part, probably be gone. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. For sure. I love those. Sometimes they sound pithy, but they're truisms.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they're all kind of good guidelines for life.
Yeah, I love
Get
it.
up in the morning and get invigorated, whether you go to the gym. Half the time when you text me in the morning, I'm walking on the treadmill at the gym.
I know. And
stuff.
what's funny is I know I can text you early because I know you're going to get it and you'll respond. I'm not waking you up. You're already out and going.
Yeah. So it seems like, the busy people are the ones that seem to get the most done. I don't know. But, I think my philosophy is you lean into life. Yeah. Whether it's professionally or in a service manner or or whatnot. But so many people, unfortunately, and particularly a lot of people who have struggled with addiction issues or whatnot, they've come to lean away from life.
Yeah.
And so, like,
It's a good
out of
way
the
to put it.
prison,
Yeah.
I try to get them, leaning into life with a positive, hopeful attitude, and to realize that life for every single one of us, no matter where we are, is a process.
Yeah.
It's like climbing a ladder, whether you're on the first rung of the ladder or halfway up the ladder or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really about the trajectory that we're going in and the direction our lives are going in. So worry first about, it doesn't matter how fast you're going, if you're going in the wrong direction or in a bad direction. I'm a huge Steve Covey advocate, I just love everything that he's did,
sure,
the way he taught the 7 Habits and the other more religious oriented stuff. But I think it was Steve Covey that said some people are so busy climbing the ladder and that they don't realize until they get to the top of the ladder that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. And so that's the thing about, let's get our bearings, get our direction first. Let's not worry so much about the speed we're going in. Let's just make sure the direction we're going in is right. And then we can worry about maybe, accelerating our pace a little bit.
Gotcha. Well, that's good advice.
I love those metaphors.
Me
Mind
too.
over mattress, ladder leaning against the wrong wall.
Right.
I think those are good.
Yeah,
good
I told you I
things.
never forgot that when you told me that. I thought, wow. And that's when I knew you and I we think a lot alike, and I do really admire your hard work. And I think that's why you're where you're at today, not just with your business, but just everything that you do and the influence you have on people. So here you are, you've been you've had this company for what, 38 years, you said?
Got out of law school in 83 and kind of just had a solo practice. And then in 1990, I'd been practicing with about 5 or 6 other attorneys in a joint office sharing situation. One of those attorneys was Mitch Jensen.
Okay.
And then when the lease expired there in 1990, Mitch and I went off separately and formed Siegfried and Jensen, and it was just he and I to begin with, and a couple, paralegals or clerks or whatnot, and grew from those small beginnings into, what we are now. We have about 80 employees, about 18 attorneys, and pretty good little business that puts meat on the table for all of us.
Well, I'll tell you, I want to say this, and I know you don't like touting yourself, but I do want to say, you guys have a 97% success rate with over 35,000 cases, and you've recovered for your clients over, I think, $850 million.
Probably over $1 billion now.
Is it $1 billion now? You need to update that.
Update the website.
But
I guess have to get on Jeremy and tell him to update.
Yeah, Jeremy, come on.
Yeah, come on.
But that just, again, it says a lot. You can't just do that on accident. You obviously have a purpose, a drive, that work ethic you were talking about. And again, overall, you're just good to people in the way you treat them. And I think that's why people keep coming back to you.
Yeah, we try to be. And what we do as representing people who've been injured in accidents, those are people that from whatever walk of life, they've had some, misfortune. And so we try to help them. Get through a rough patch in their life, and we're primarily helping them financially. At the law firm, we don't take them into the conference room and teach them religion or anything. But, so we primarily help them financially, which I guess is somewhat you can contrast to what I do at the prison, which is try to help them spiritually. But it's
for sure.
But it's all helping people. And for me personally, and I know for you as well, Todd, that's very satisfying.
It really is. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. I usually do this towards the end of every podcast that I have and I'm going to ask you the same thing. And I think you'll really give us some good thoughts here. If there's someone listening to you right now, Ned, who's struggling, and they're just in a place of darkness and they're not sure what to do, what advice could you give to that one person that's listening to you right now?
Well, I guess I would say pray.
I like that.
Whatever your higher power is. I personally have never struggled with addiction, but several members of my immediate family as well as extended family have struggled with some of those issues. That's how I first came to meet you.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't matter if you are the LDS faith or Catholic or Baptist or Buddhist or Muslim. It doesn't matter. I really do believe the road to better things, to sobriety, if you will, if we put it in that context, and remaining sober is a higher power. It's a having a more spiritual life, whatever your higher power may you may believe in.
Yeah.
I just think it's part of getting out of yourself, because life is hard no matter who you are. None of us get through this life unscathed. We all have challenges,
Sure.
whether it be health, whether it be financial, whether it be, with relationships. And most of us during different times of our life struggle with all these different aspects. But I found in my own life, because I've been, I guess a pretty religious or spiritual person my whole life. That's where I've really derived the strength to get through a lot of the tougher times of my life, or dealing with, certainly not just vicariously with other people in my family that have struggled with addiction, but it's given me an added measure of strength to be able to help them more effectively. So I feel like, the spiritual side of life has allowed me, greater capacity to help and assist others around me, whether it's family or otherwise, that need a helping hand. So I guess pray. No matter who it is you visualize or think you're praying to. I just think that it just brings strength and serenity and calm into one's life, and it adds perspective, so that no matter how bad things may seem today, I think it imbues in a person hopefully the belief that tomorrow's going to be better, and the next day better, and the next day better. It's all about that upward trajectory.
Gotcha. Love it. Great advice. No, seriously, I love that. That's great. Well, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule, to come sit here with me today and share a portion of your story with us. But I also want to thank you for believing in me enough that you would be a sponsor of this Belief Cast. It really has reached so many people. A lot of people will say that they heard one of the guests say this, and I decided not to end my life, or I heard this person overcome their addiction, and now I have hope that I'll do it. Or just, and the list goes on and on and on. And I just can't thank you enough that you guys would be willing, Siegfried and Jensen, and specifically you, Ned, that you'd be willing to support me. So thank you so much.
Well, like I said earlier, it's an honor to associate with you and the Belief Cast. And if I can be a small part of helping more people listen to and benefit by what you're doing, then I consider it a great opportunity. So thank you.
Oh, you betcha. Well, thanks, Ned, and everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Again, I told you this was going to be another great thing, and thank you for all your support. Please share this with everyone you know. And again, thank you for believing in me enough. I want you guys to know that I love you, and I hope that you're doing better. Please take some of that advice that Ned said. He shared a lot of great things, but if you are struggling, say a prayer, whoever your higher power may be, and know that tomorrow is going to be better. Reach out to me or Ned. And speaking of that, could someone reach out to you if they ever wanted to just ask you a question and maybe learn more about what you do? Is that all right?
Yeah.
What would be the best way for them to do that?
Well, I probably, my wife would be mad if I gave out my personal cell number.
Yeah, maybe not that.
Kidding, no, you just call the office or send an email,
Okay.
to the office or whatnot, and
Gotcha.
I'll try to get back to you and talk to you, and whether it's professionally, which I will do, but I'd rather talk about more important matters,
For sure.
the spiritual type of journey that we're talking about. So yeah.
Okay, well, we'll put the contact info in there, and please reach out to Ned, and he'll help you out if he can, any way whatsoever. So again, thank you, and everybody, thanks for tuning in. Till next time.